Hey there, this is Kat Stancic with the Revenue Accelerator with my guest, Tracy Pohlmann. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about Tracy, and I need you to pay attention. Now, she's an award-winning speaker, certified trainer, entrepreneur, and personal image expert, which I'm going to dive into that because I have some issues with glam shots. She has assisted over 9,000 women in creating a stylish and professional personal image to advance their careers and attract their ideal customers. Yes. Tracy is passionate about helping professional women discover a simple and strategic way, and I'm going to dive into that in just a little bit, so that they can feel great about the way they look, no matter their age, shape, exude more confidence, and create an impression that makes them shine in their career. Because what is more attractive than a woman who is confident on stage? Now, Tracy, I know that you focus on the house, what someone is wearing, but what you do dives it so much deeper. Can you tell me a little bit more about why it's important to pay attention to what we have on and what it actually does for your business, essentially?
Okay. Yeah. And I think so many times people just throw on clothes and don't really think about it much, but what you wear really does make an impact on how you feel. Because if you think back to the time, like when you looked your best, think back to a moment,
long ago, before the pandemic.
It could, for some people it's in their 20s, but how did it make you feel? That day, you just had this killer outfit on and you were rocking it and you held your head up high. You felt like you could conquer the world, right?
Yep. Remember?
That's what happens when you wear outfits that make you feel good. And so it's so important. And sometimes people don't feel like they can actually look good every day, feel that feeling, that euphoria. That when we feel like we look good, we feel like we can't do it every day, but you can do that every day. You could be wearing clothes that bring out the best of you.
Right. And this is where the strategy plays into place for you, which is you're not just asking people to buy, thousands of dollars of new clothes or even clothes that they may never even wear again, but you're really leveraging what they already have, which is what I really appreciate it, because sometimes there are things that we forget that we have, or we didn't even know go together. And all of a sudden there's this new, I like to call them power outfits, that we have, that we can wear, that really just, it really does do an energetic spark in a way.
Yes. It makes you feel good, because anytime you have a new outfit, even though it's not new, but it's newly created, then that's what really generates a lot of excitement and fun. And then you feel like, oh, I'm so, you just feel like you're on cloud nine.
Well, and there's this total energetic alignment, because I know, I've had my fair share of pajama bottom days. Yeah. Today being one of them. And I know that there's lots of memes, and I've even said it before too, of I got fancy today and I wore pants with a zipper. So, how have you seen things change from pre-pandemic to now, where, Zoom is just an everyday word, whereas it used to just be more relevant in the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah. What I think beforehand, the way people used to dress, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, and then we kind of we're at home, who cares? We do whatever we want. And I don't know about you. At first I was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to worry about the way I look that much. And I was really kind of excited. And then I started getting depressed. We aren't seeing people. We aren't getting dressed up. I just was like, lazy daisy, throw some clothes on. Maybe it was my exercise outfit, maybe throw some makeup on. Sometimes I remember showing up a couple of times without makeup, and I was like, this is not doing anything for for me.
Yeah. Well, it is it really comes from within. I mean, it is an energetic aspect that you exude, because confidence is attraction.
It is.
Right? Just kind of like clarity and messaging or whatever it is. And so if we're not feeling so great about ourselves, even if you fake it, there is this energetic tainting in a way that can be kind of picked up. And so I do know that when I'm on point, I do have that energetic shift in who I am. And it really affects it, because your people, they're really visible. So this is a foundational aspect of their success, is making sure that they have this that they're on brand, that they have this image in place. So, I know you talk about like aligning your own like essence, energy, and beingness to the personal brand. You even shared an experience, talk about like colors and alignment. So why is it important to have that personal image and branding be in alignment with who you are?
Well, I think in this day and age, there's a lot of noise out there, right?
Mm.
There's also, you're showing up on Zooms with a lot of people. How do you stand out?
Yeah.
You stand out, so you're curious. Other people are curious about you. And they're like, who is that? What does she do? Right.
Mm.
So I think so many times, and I see it right now, a lot of people are struggling trying to figure out how do I dress now compared to the way I was before?
Right.
And I always ask people, well, who are your ideal customers and clients? How are they dressing? Because maybe that's what you need to do. I'm actually working with a client right now, and most of her customers are high-end people. And so she wasn't dressing that way. And so we started going through, because she was like, I don't know how to dress. She had all these old clothes. Nothing was like, it was just a mismatch of a bunch of stuff. And so just helping her see how she could use what she had, get a couple new pieces to create a very professional look. And lo and behold, her income is going up.
Yep.
And she's attracting, actually, she's getting to the point where she's like, I'm so busy, I don't know how I can handle all of these people. So she's like, it's just interesting. She goes, every meeting I have with someone, they're like, okay, let's sign up. And I think it's the way she's projecting herself, and she feels good about herself.
Yeah.
And she feels excited now to get dressed or to go shopping. She hated shopping. It's just, she didn't know how to shop and what her actual closet needed.
Yeah.
And when she understood that, it just became so much easier and actually fun.
So let's talk a little bit about the mental minefield that you probably have to navigate when it comes to styling, probably mostly women like having this issue, but I know men have it too. Yeah. But dealing with I don't want to wear that size. I don't feel good about where I am in my body right now. Like what do you tell your clients to help them navigate through that? Because it's got to be a common thing.
Yeah. Well, I think so many times there's reels going on in our minds about what other people have said. When your mom said, you look ridiculous in a dress. Now you're like, I don't feel like I could wear a dress. And I always tell people, it's hard because those keep coming in your mind, and you got to be open too. But part of it is learning how to dress for your body shape now. And there's no perfect body shape.
Actually, there's much more acceptance now than there used to be in terms of body shape.
But if you think about it, people like Oprah, think about Oprah. Over the years, she's gained weight, she's lost weight, but she always looks fabulous, right? Yes. No matter what. And it's because what she's doing is she's accentuating her positive features and she's de-emphasizing the negative. Yep. So that's the type of thing that we work on, is emphasizing and de-emphasizing. Yes. And so it's not, your butt's too big, you can't wear that. It's looking at ways that you can dress so your butt does look smaller, or ways that you can, if, say your face is one of the positive features, how you could wear certain colors to draw attention up and away from those other areas you don't want people looking at. So I think it works really like well for people, because then they start seeing themselves in a different light, because it depends on your body shape is going to depend on, say, if you wear like a scoop neckline or a V neckline or a jewel neckline, it's going to determine, should you wear high-waisted or low-waisted pants? Where should your jacket or sweater fall? Like, should it fall at the waistline, above the waistline, below the waistline? Should you wear a belt? What type of earrings you should wear? Also, like, even what type of purse you should be carrying depends on your body shape. So when you start looking at those things and you start learning how to dress for that body shape, then all of a sudden you look in the mirror and you see beautiful. You don't see the problem areas like before because you just didn't know how to dress for that.
Right.
It's not about body shame or anything like that. It's just really learning how to dress. And when people figure it out, they're shocked, because I think so many times we think, well, I'm bigger, I should just put on these big clothes, no one's going to be able to see.
Or I've seen the opposite too, of just putting on tight clothes because baggy clothes might make you look bigger. And so, it's a little bit along the lines of just because you can wear a mini skirt doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Yes, so definitely. But I get a lot of clients that say, oh, I want to start looking good. I want to start working with you when I lose weight. And I'm like, here's the thing. You can be losing weight and still looking good and making yourself feel good, because when you look in the mirror and you're like, wow, it looks like I lost weight. What does that do for you when you're losing weight?
Right. Well, I mean, it really just comes down to this self-love, right? A place where I think a lot of people, don't necessarily embrace, and just kind of acceptance of not looking at what's the deficit or where's the lack essentially, but really kind of being in the place of saying, hey, right now, right here, I can exude confidence. I'm owning that my brilliance isn't determined by how much I weigh or how much money I make, that the value of who I am is just in my being. And I think that's a really big place that a lot of women just kind of, I think humans just kind of stumble over in terms of establishing their valuation off of those two things. What role, I know you have a lot of people who you work with who leverage visibility. So you've got, best-selling authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, they're doing Facebook Lives, they're speaking on stages, virtual and in person, they're networking. What does this have to really do with first impressions?
Well, believe it or not, people form an opinion of you within 7 seconds of meeting you. Right. And they are determining whether they want to do business with you, whether they like you. And unfortunately, in those 7 seconds, they're not looking at what's on the inside or your expertise. They are judging you on your appearance. And actually, communication, believe it or not, is 7% verbal, 30% tone of voice, and 55% appearance. So when people tell me it doesn't really matter what I wear, and I get people that tell me that all the time, and I'm like, well, unfortunately it does. And people, studies have shown that people are attracted to certain people and they want to do business with certain people. And it doesn't mean you have to be model gorgeous or anything like that. But when you put on the clothes and you feel good about yourself, you stand out, right? You have confidence, and confidence is contagious. People want to be around people that are confident. They want to do business with people that are confident.
Right. Right. So how can you come back from a bad first impression, or maybe you didn't even know that you made a negative first impression? What's something people can do to kind of course correct or, change the narrative essentially?
Well, I think sometimes if we show up in the bad light, then just kind of like maybe don't do that again. Really make an effort not to, because sometimes you cannot get a second impression. Like people just kind of boom, you're done. And I hear it all the time. They're like, you wouldn't believe how someone showed up. Like she showed up for this networking meeting. She was in bed, like literally in bed.
Oh my God, I've seen that.
Up in bed, like. How do you feel about that person and their business? Now, the only thing I can say is, and hopefully she realized maybe she shouldn't have done that, but always show up.
Yeah.
Looking good, being dressed. Because many times, I think most of us want to give people second chances, right? Like we all fail at something, we all do at some point in time. So it's just try to just not do that ever again. But it just, unfortunately, there's maybe not much that you can do unless you can think of something brilliant that they could do.
I guess just keep showing up though, and not hiding and deciding, what I think, and part of what you do, which is really getting clear with what is the emotion and the energy that you want people walking away with after having had an encounter with you, and then really aligning that with your branding. And I think a lot of people don't think about that in terms of what is a lasting impression that you're making on someone, and is it in alignment with how you support people?
Yeah.
Because what at the end of the day, marketing and using your personal brand is supposed to attract and repel people. And so are you unintentionally repelling your ideal clients and attracting the people you actually don't want to be working with?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So, what are some things that people should keep in mind when it comes to leveraging style, right? And their personal brand as part of, scaling their business and generating more revenue, like your client has with, seeing an increase in her revenues based off of some modifications y'all made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things you really need to look at is like, who are you trying to attract? And how do you want to be perceived? And I think that's important. And then kind of who you are too, really understanding who your style personality is. I think that's important because everyone has style. I know people tell me all the time, but I don't have style. And the problem is you're looking at someone else's style and you're thinking, because you don't look like that other person, you don't have style and they do. But
right.
In actuality, everybody has style. Even the people that are most casual, they're like, but I'm so casual. I'm like, I like this effortless. And I'm like, hey, that is probably the most dominant style that's out there. That's what I find most of my clients are in that effortless category. And so they're struggling trying to figure out, how do I present myself in a way that is pleasing to my ideal customers, but then also how can I be me?
Right. Well, and I've seen that a lot with, I've seen everybody, there's a bunch of people who do what we do. It's probably not even grammatic. There's a bunch of stylists, there's a bunch of business strategists, there's a bunch of doctors, there's a bunch of whatever, right? And what I've seen some stylists do is basically every one of their people looks the same.
Yeah.
Right. Like they have okay, it's going to be this kind of jacket with these pants and these shoes. And then all of a sudden you're seeing the person who has a different personality, but all these different personalities are wearing the same clothes. What are your thoughts on that? And is your process different?
Well, you know what? I like to look at exactly what their style is and what colors also look good on them and help them create something that they love. Like, I'll just use this as an example, the artistic person. She loves unique things. Like she's kind of above the trends. Like she's before even people said it's a trend, she's wearing it and she's kind of out there. Well, she still needs to be herself, even though she might be in a traditional job. But she also maybe needs to downplay things a little bit. So maybe instead of wearing, that funky outfit, maybe she could wear a funky piece of jewelry with her outfit. So it kind of depends on what type of space she's in and what people expect her to wear. But like people that are in the financial, they're teaching people financial strategies and different things like that. They have to kind of be careful. Like, someone that is like way out there and she's like all over the place, they may not want to invest their money with her and have her help them financially if she doesn't kind of fit the bill of what they think she should be. So, but you can still be yourself and still have fun and still be yourself like when you're not at work, right? But then you also have to look at who you are outside of work and who you are at work, especially with people that are networking a lot in person. Because if they see you acting one way in business and then they see you all of a sudden on
that
Facebook,
creates dissonance and distrust.
Yes, exactly. So you've got to really kind of look at that. And that doesn't mean that you can't be you and can't have fun and do all of those things. You definitely can, but always have to think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Tracy, you've got some goodies to be sharing with everyone. So how can people get in touch with you and learn a little bit more about, the different strategies and things that you're using as part of your process?
Okay. Well, you're going to love this, especially this is probably the one thing that most women are like, I wish I could just lose some weight. I wish I was slimmer than what I actually am. So I do have a video that's all about how to look 10 to 20 pounds slimmer without diet or exercise. So everyone loves all of those tips. So you can get those tips and it's going to help you. And many times you have these things in your house that you can apply right away. Now, some of the
Nice.
things it's not, and I give you some references of where you can get some of those items. But if you want to access that information, you can go to Tracy with Style, and it's TRACY with style.com/get slimmer.
Awesome.
That information. So
that will definitely be in the show notes. So guys, make sure you go ahead and check that out and click on it. Tracy, any parting words for the audience?
Okay. Well, one of the things that I always say, you never are criticized for dressing too well, but you always are criticized for dressing too less than. And even that goes also if you show up at an event and you're like, I'm not sure exactly what to wear. It's always better to be a little overdressed than underdressed, because when you're underdressed, you want to like shrink back and not stand out and be out there. So that's just my tip. So always dress for success.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Make sure you check out those show notes. The link will be in there. And again, thank you, Tracy, for coming on today.
Thanks so much, Kat. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.